In this video, I'm gonna show you all the things that I use to make resin 3D printing easier in pretty much every single way, as well as a few things that I don't like or don't even use. And this is a rather extensive list, so make sure you stick around for the entire video, as if you've been 3D printing for a month or a year, I'm pretty sure there's something new in it for you. Now the title of today's video is Back to School, Back to Print. Now if I were to believe YouTube's subscription, basically you, who you are, I would think that most of my viewers are not going back to school, but might have kids that are going back to school, freeing up some time for other activities such as, painting or 3D printing. And to celebrate, Lychee Slicer is going to do 25% off for any new users of the Lychee Plus or the Lychee Library. And to get that deal, you're going to put in this code. So back to school, back to printing, 25% off. It's like a play on words, you get it. And just for fun, the artist, Alchemia Art, created us a new Lychee mascot. You can see him right here with his cute little glasses and his little backpack. You can find him in the Lychee Library as well, so go head on over there and print out the new little back to school mascot from Lychee Slicer. Anyway, with that, let's get on to all the different crap that I use for resin 3D printing to make it better and easier in every single way. Now I'm gonna try to be breaking this apart in segments so that it makes more sense. And so the first one's gonna be things that you wear for protection. For that one, you've noticed already that I've got these gloves on. These gloves right here are the Fintex. I buy them in bulk to save some money. These are 6 mil, so they're quite a bit thicker, so they're not gonna rip or tear. And you just wanna make sure the gloves that you're getting have the nitrile in them, because that's what's gonna protect you from the resin and the IPA and stuff like that for this industry. Anyway, those are the gloves that I like. The next thing is gonna be, I actually use Crocs. I keep these in my resin 3D printing room. I wear these because they're completely sealed kind of all the way around, so if I spill resin or anything like that, one's gonna protect my feet. And they're Crocs, so who cares if something bad happens to them. The next one is this here. Also, we're gonna put links to all this stuff in the description. Maybe there'll even be like an Amazon shopping cart list. I don't know how that works, we'll see. The next one is this, which I like a lot, this apron. This apron protects my clothes and everything. Now, I've tried a few different aprons and I threw the rest of them away, so I don't even have them. This is the one I liked. I've actually spilt resin on this one a few times. It got some splashes. It's designed to kind of protect against that stuff. It's not gonna get through the lining in it. So a pretty good apron, a little expensive. One of the more expensive things on this list, but definitely worth it. The next one that's also quite expensive, but kind of worth it as well, is the full face mask. This is gonna protect your eyes, and everything. It's gonna also do a better job at keeping out the VOCs, as it's got a double seal on it. It's got one that goes around your face, and then of course the other one that kind of goes around your snogging area. Where this one just goes around, just like this. This one actually works pretty good. If I'm just gonna do something small or light, I'm gonna wear this one. If I'm gonna be in there for a while dealing with a lot of IPA and stuff like that one, and I'm worried about maybe getting something in my eyes, I'll get this one right here. Next one, of course, is the cartridges, the vapor cartridges. You need these ones. These are carbon. They're multi-gas vapor. This is important because regular cartridges won't actually protect you from the fumes. These ones will. You just have to make sure you change them out often enough, depending on how often you use them, because once you open this bag, they start absorbing chemicals, and once they've absorbed chemicals enough, they can't do it anymore. That also means you want to keep these things stored, if you could, like an airtight Tupperware or something like that one, so when you're not using them, they're not just sitting there absorbing stuff, wasting the life of your filters. Anyway, that's it for stuff that you wear. Let's move on to the next one. Let's move to funnels and filters. So I've tried a few different funnels. There's like little one that comes with. This one's terrible. I've tried the Wham Bam one. I like how it can fit multiple bottles in multiple sizes. However, it is incredibly hard to clean. I tried a little metal one, but the funnel was so small I couldn't clean it in between. I couldn't even get my pinky or a scrubber in there. So what I ended up with is this one for automotive. This was incredibly cheap on Amazon. It's big enough there so I can actually clean it when I'm done. And it fits in pretty much all the resin bottles. Depending on the resin bottle, it fits a little bit better or worse. Let me kind of show you. So if you're using the Sunlu, it's got the larger neck on it and it's gonna fit in there really, really well. It's gonna be incredibly stable. And then I buy these paint filters. They're super cheap for a big bag. I bought this huge bag kind of when I first started resin 3D printing, and I still have this many left. It's lasted me 2.5, 3 years. And I just kind of put in there like that, and it fits really, really well. And then, that way I'm just filtering out my resin when I'm putting it back in the bottle. It doesn't fit as well into something with a really small neck like the Frozen. However, it fits well enough that I haven't had it spill on me yet. Anyway, I've tried lots of different funnels, and this funnel right here is by far my favorite. The next category here are things that stick. There's lots of things that stick with resin 3D printing. You might, more than the resin, I guess. The first thing here are these little aquarium stickers. They're very cheap for a pack. I think I bought 2 packs 2 or 3 years ago, and I still have this much left. I put them on my vat, and I also put them on the cover of the printer. That way I can check the temperatures. They're actually pretty accurate. As of right now, it is about 25 degrees Celsius or 77 degrees Fahrenheit in this room. It is very hot because all these lights burn me alive in this little room that I do this recording in. But anyway, yeah, first thing is little temperature stickers. Who knew? The next one are these big tall things right here. This is just saran wrap. Now this is what I started with. And I used to cover all my printer hoods and stuff like that with this regular saran wrap. And it would kind of come off over time. It's kind of thin. It didn't work very well. It was pretty awful. And then I found this stuff. This is like construction window cover. It's sticky on one side, so it's a little hard to put on. But once you get it on, it looks like this. It's not the most best looking thing in the world. You can see my little temperature vat there. But when you put it on, if you spill resin on this, it's gonna wipe right off pretty much forever. And I've also noticed it kind of kills that static electricity that these things get. Just by being plastic for some reason, it just seems to mostly go away when you put that on it. But if you do get any resin on the inside, it cleans up. Even if it's been there for weeks, it'll just come right off this stuff. But anyway, that's the next thing, is this window protector covering to protect your resin 3D printer. The next one, and if you've been following me around at all on any of my videos, you'll see that I love painter's tape for resin 3D printing. I use it to protect, put a seal between the vat and the printer so I don't get resin under the vat. I use it to clean out my vat cleans. I use it for all sorts of things, but some Scotch tape is a must-have. The next one right here is the dental tape. You can buy it in a box where you can pull one sheet at a time. That's probably what I should have done. Or I just bought this roll. I bought this roll about 1.5 years ago, and I use them quite a bit. The way I use this one is for a couple ways. One of them is I'll use it to, if I pull the vat off the printer, I'll use this to clean off the LCD, any dust or hair or debris before I put the vat back on. Or if I'm changing out resin, there's a bunch of crap, I clean out the vat, there's fibers from the paper towel. I'll use this to clean out the fibers before I put it on. I also use one of these sheets to put onto the resin bottle. If I open up a resin bottle, I'll take one of these sheets out. This bottle's empty. I'll take one of these sheets out and I'll put it over it and then put the lid on. That way when I shake it, the resin gets on this, which I just throw away and replace it the next time I use it. That way it doesn't drip resin all the way down the bottle. Anyway, very versatile, lots of different uses for it. And then the next one here is this tape right here. Now this stuff is more specialty. This is what's called LCD tape. It comes in different thicknesses. I use this if I have to replace the LCD, or I also put like a piece of film over the touchscreen on my printer, and I use this to kind of go around the edges. You can cut it in half, or you can buy it in a thinner sheet than this one. I just bought the thicker one, that way I can just cut it in half. And again, I use this if the manufacturer doesn't have a gasket that they sell. So if I ever have to replace the screen or replace the screen protector, this is what I use. However, I've seen a lot of people use this stuff as well. I don't like it as much. Let me tell you why. This right here is the Krylon tape. And even though it's transparent, it is UV protective, so you're gonna be able to kind of see through it. You'll be able to see, around, you'll see some UV light glow, but it won't actually cure the resin. But I don't like it as much because it's definitely much more brittle and it kind of tears easier. However, the advantage of this one is it doesn't leave a sticky residue behind. When I take it off, it comes off really clean. This stuff, once it's on, it's on. It leaves a sticky residue behind, but if I use Goof Off, it comes right off. So it's kind of up to you which one you want to choose. Pros and cons of each one. But anyway, it's good to have this on hand in case you ever have to replace an LCD or screen protector or something, and you don't have access to the vat from the manufacturer. Either one of these is what you're going to use, because this is called LCD tape, and this is the Krylon tape, I believe. I know it's this stuff right here. Yeah, we'll put links and crap off Amazon, but anyway, right, this stuff, yeah. The next one are scrapers. I've tried all sorts of scrapers. Well, of course, there's the plastic one that comes with your 3D printer. You should never use this, just get rid of it. I've tried these. These are like the plastic razor blade scraper things. I don't know where the handle went, somewhere around here. I've tried these things. Didn't care for these at all. They did not work. There's the ones that printers comes with. There's so many of these. I've thrown so many away, and there's different shapes and sizes. I do keep one of them on hand. I like the frozen one, actually. I keep it on hand. Just for when I need to scrape the whole build plate down to clean it off. But the one that I like is this guy right here. He's not sharp at all, so if you accidentally slip and get yourself, it's not gonna stab you or hurt you at all because it's not sharp at all. But it cleans off the prints super, super easy. It doesn't scratch your build plate. This is the scraper that I use to remove my prints from the build plate because it's perfect. Yeah, the one that I use. Moving on. And the next one is soft silicone squeegees. I've got a lot of them here, but why would I use one of these anyway for resin 3D printing? Let's talk about that real quick. So I've got my vat here, and let's say my vat's been sitting around for 1 or 2 weeks or a couple days. The resin's gonna fall out and the pigmentation or the chemicals are gonna separate. Kind of like your orange juice, you gotta shake it before you use it. Same thing with your resin. But if it's been sitting in the vat, you wanna mix it up. So you could try using a tool like this one, but the problem is when you mix it up, this one's got kind of a curved edge on it. It's not gonna be able to really squeegee that release film and get it all in. The next thing is when you're doing this is you're checking to see if you have any like hard bits or felt prints in there. Even if it's 0.03 millimeters thick, when you run it across, it's going to feel it. This one right here, again, I didn't like this one. It just, for lots of reasons. The first one I ever got was this blue one right here. I actually did like it, but it was kind of hard to clean because these little bumps and it was just kind of big and a little unwieldy, doesn't work on small printers. So I retired it a while ago. The next two that I tried were these ones right here. This one was always too big and unwieldy, never liked it. This one I actually did like quite a bit. It's got metal in the inside, so it's got a little firmness, but it's still nice and soft on the edges. But in the end, it was a little hard to clean because sometimes stuff would get in that eye, and it was a little bit big. The next one I tried is the Wham Bam one. I really wanted to like this one, but it has those holes in it. They're hard to clean. And also, it's kind of hard to use, so when I use it, kind of using it like this one, and then I'll scrape off the edges, and I kind of have to like turn my hand around to scrape off the edges like that. There's a one without the holes in it, but it's same thing. There's just like a gap there. It was just harder to clean and just kind of harder to use, and then storing it, it was kind of big to store somewhere. So in the end, I didn't really enjoy it. The two that I did like quite a bit are actually these two right here. This one comes with a uniformation printer, but it's a little bit small, works really well for like a really tiny printer like this one, the 8K Mini. But a bigger printer, it's a little small, or if you're using a really thick resin, it's a little too flimsy. But other than that, I actually really liked it. My favorite, however, is the newish tool. This one is pretty much just perfect. There's no bumps or anything like that when it's really easy to clean. It's got sharp corners on both sides, so when I'm cleaning, I can just like go from side to side. So like all the way to the corner and use this corner right here to scrape up the crap that kind of, basically just make sure everything gets removed from the release film and mixed back in the resin. And again, when I'm using it, it's just kind of easy to scrape off like that. It's just really easy to use, and it's small, easy to store when I'm not using it. So yeah, this is my favorite one. This is the newest tool. And again, we'll put links for all this stuff on Amazon. And this one's also, I think, probably actually the cheapest. So it's awesome. The next one here are spray bottles. Maybe asking, what do spray bottles have to do with resin 3D printing? This isn't like a barber channel. Well, these are the spray bottles that I use for the IPA. And well, can you guess which one I like the best and which one I like the least? Let me know in the comments down below which one you think is the best. And well, you're not gonna know why, but maybe you could guess why. So anyway, let's get started. The first one was this one, which ended up just being, it worked really well. It never broke, even after a while. It just was too big and I wasn't comfortable having this much IPA. It was also a little bit unwieldy to kind of store and stuff around my area. So I didn't like it very much. The next one I bought was this little one, which was for like, you know, hair salon type thing. And it broke. Maybe the IPA, I don't know, it just broke. So it got kicked out. The next one I bought is this glass one, which I actually liked a lot. It worked really, really well, but the glass was too small. I was filling up all the time, so it got nixed out of the list. And these are the two that I like the best. They're about 2 years old and they've never stopped working. The one with IPA still works great. This one's distilled water that I kind of just, you know, spray them on my mats when I'm done to clean them. You know, a little IPA and a little bit of the distilled water, just so I'm not using so much IPA. To clean them off when I'm done. They work great and they're easy to store. And on the topic of mats, let's talk about mats. So there's a few different mats here that I've tried. The one that I tried recently was this like plastic thing. I don't recommend it. It didn't clean very well. I don't know, maybe it's too soft and the resin can kind of get into it, but I don't recommend that at all. The very first one I ever bought when I got into resin 3D printing was this one, which worked really well, but it was just too small. What I liked about this one, it's got this like kind of texture to it, and so it cleans off really easy. Let's kind of show you what I mean by cleaning off. So if you got your little paper towel here and you got some IPA and you spray this thing down, it's gonna clean pretty well, and the IPA starts to dry. It starts to drag a little bit, like starts to grip on this one and pull fuzzies off. This one cleans a little bit easier than the next one that I got, which was a little bit bigger, which was this guy right here. This one's got a little bit of a ridge on it. You know, I thought it was gonna be perfect, but it just catches more. Like even when I'm dragging my hand across it, it just wants to pull, it wants to pull the fibers out more. Didn't like it as much. The next one that I got, that I tried, was the Wham Bam one, Again, I really wanted to like this one, but it probably pulled and collected stuff more than the others. Again, I think it's just a texture issue, maybe a color, I'm not sure, but when you spray it with stuff, it'll clean really easy while it's wet, but the second it starts to get dry, it just wants to like drag. And then the one that I bought a long time ago, and I've just loved it ever since, are these dog mats. I love them because they've got this tall ridge on it, so if there's ever a spill, they're gonna catch it. They're big enough I can put 2 printers on per pad, or there's even a bigger one I use for my cleaning station. And the next thing is they just clean really, really well. Like they don't really grip on stuff. Out of all of them, they're probably either tied for the best for cleaning, the little one and this one, or maybe they're even slightly better. The easiest to clean out of all of them being this one. However, there's one more thing that's even better than this, and that's a lunch tray. The lunch tray is really great because it's more mobile than the mat is. It also cleans really, really easy. A little IP on this one, and it just doesn't matter if it's wet or dry. It's just gonna be really smooth. It's not gonna grab on and leave, pull little fuzzies and crap all over everything like the silicone will. You'll still want a mat underneath this, and because it's kind of small for spills and stuff, so you can catch that. But this is what I use because you can also take it to the printer and take the thing off and carry it over to your clean station and scrape it, and then just clean this thing off. When it comes to handheld post-processing, I've tried a few other ones, but I think I've thrown them away. I can't find them. The ones that I have here are the ones that have stuck around. The UVB flashlight, which is very expensive for what it is, but it works really, really well, and the batteries are rechargeable, so it comes with a recharger. And this actually has the extension on it. It's very, very bright. Mine came with glasses. I'm pretty sure it still comes with UV glasses at the time. This is the V3. Very, very powerful. I like that it's more mobile since it's wireless, it's battery powered, and I can take it around and kind of cure inside of stuff, and it works very, very well. However, if you don't want to spend the money on that one and you don't really care about mobility, also to cure your trash, there's this one, much cheaper. It plugs in. It's got a little switch on it, and these ones work really. Again, very, very powerful UV light. Will kind of cure your garbage really, really well. I've even considered building like an automated trash can that has like one of these in the bottom and one of these in the top. Or maybe a couple on the sides. I don't know, I haven't figured it out yet, but where these are just in it, and I can put it on like a little timer switch and cure my trash at the end of every day, or every session. And I would use this to do that. But anyway, these are the 2 different things that I would highly recommend for curing UV, especially like your trash or the inside of prints when you can't reach them with the regular UV cure station. This is just like a little bonus. This is the heat gun that I use. Unfortunately, this one is no longer available. But however, I've put a link for another one that I think is actually better than this one. This one had 3 stages, basically barely warm. The middle one, which is the one I use all the time, which didn't get very warm at all. Like warm enough where if you could hold it on your hand, it felt like hot, but it wouldn't burn you. And then like, death, the burning hells hot, never turned into that one. And I like this one a lot, but like I said, you can't buy it anymore. The one I will link, I think is better because it has even like way more stages in this one, so you can really select the heat that you want. You don't want to go too hot. But what I'm using this for is I use this to warm up the print so the supports just fall right off. Not to get them hot, just warm. And also to make to dry them off, get the IPA off, evaporate it really quickly. Of course, wearing the mask when I'm doing it. That way I can get them dry and in the UV cure station dry and a little bit warm where they're gonna cure up a little bit better. But a bonus is get yourself a heat gun or a hair dryer. I haven't tried a hair dryer, but it's, depending on the setting of your heat gun, they're actually gonna be exactly the same. Maybe the hairdryer has a little bit more air, which could be good or bad depending on if you print big stuff or little stuff. I think more air and little stuff, it might just blow all over the area. But anyway, yeah, a heat gun. Speaking of little stuff, something you want to get if you do print little stuff is this little jewelry container. Again, super, super cheap. You can just put all your itty bitty things inside here, and then you can clean them and dry them and whatnot, and not have to worry about them going all over the place. The next thing that is a must-have is a dental toolkit. These are super cheap. I think it's like $7 to $9 on Amazon. The ones you really want is a good pair of tweezers for sometimes picking stuff up. But out of all these ones, the ones that I care about the most are gonna be the pick with the really fine tip on it. That way I can get little tiny supports. And then this thing right here, I'm not sure what it's called, but it's basically like a miniature wood chisel. And I can use it to shave off resin, like little sheets, almost like you're carving wood with it. It works very, very well. I've had it for a long time and it's still sharp. It works well. Again, this is pretty good stuff. And we're getting near to the end of this stuff, so bear with me for a little bit longer. The next one is, of course, the type of paper towels you're gonna use. Like everybody, I probably started with the regular white cheap roll that you buy from Walmart. that leaves lint everywhere and it's hard to store. What I ended up going with is buying these in bulk, and it lasts a very, very long time and becomes pretty cheap when you buy a bunch of them. They don't leave as much lint, and they're just easier to use. The next thing are these things which are called M-wipes, I believe. M-wipes? Yes, M-wipes. Now what's great about these things is that this is like the pack that I bought originally, and this is how much I have left. Oh, a little screw in there. They last a very long time because I just cut them up into these tiny little squares. I use these ones to clean off my printer, kind of when I'm done changing resins, changing vats, the build plate, I just wipe everything off because these will not leave any fuzzies or lint behind. Or like, if I want to clean off the build plate, I'll start with one of these which leaves some lint behind and then finish it with one of these guys to just make sure there's not a bunch of crap that's going to get my resin and contaminate it. And again, you cut them up. This was pretty cheap and it lasts forever. Highly recommended to get these different types of paper towels for cleaning your area or cleaning your Resin 3D printer. The next one is syringes. Now I don't have all the syringes I've used. These are the ones I have left. This one is a 20 millimeter, a little bit too small. Didn't like it. My favorite was a 60 mil. Now I've tried the bigger ones like 100, 120. I've tried finding like a good 70 or 80 and I can't really seem to find anything that doesn't come in a big pack. But what I liked about the 60 mil is what I'm using with this one is I've got my vat here. I've got my vat. I've got my spatula. And what I'm doing is I'm squeegeeing the spatula into the corner and then I'm using this with one hand and I can just kind of pull up on my thumb like that. And it's easy enough to use with one hand that I can just kind of pull it out and then, squish it down inside of through the filter back into the bottle. But I like it quite a bit. Now, one thing I don't do is I never clean it with IPA, ever. If you do that, it can damage it. All I do is when I'm done, I'll just kind of like plunge it really fast, just like into the trash to clean it out. And when I store it, I just store it like this in my cleaning area. And this guy right here, I use it all the time. This thing has been sitting in my shelf used repeatedly with resin for well over a year, and it still works great and isn't breaking down at all. Again, that's the 60 mil. It takes more plunges because it's not so big, but being able to, do this with one hand, suck it out, drip it in, suck it out, drip it in, I found to be kind of the best thing there. So anyway, yeah, 60 mil syringe. The next thing that you're gonna wanna get is some super lube, some silicone grease to grease up your rails and your Z-screw and stuff like that. Now if you have a ball bearing screw, you can use sewing machine oil, works best for that one. But just for doing the linear rails, you're gonna wanna use this. It comes in a big bottle or a little bottle, depending on what you wanna pay. The little bottle is the first one I ever bought when I bought my first Resin 3D printer, which was 3 years ago, and I've used about half of it. I bought this one more recently and I haven't actually used it yet. But I use this also to put a little bit of resin on the vat screws so they don't lock up. And yeah, it lasts forever actually, but you definitely want to get yourself some super lube. Not that kind of super lube, this kind of super lube. And last but not least, the last thing you probably really want to get for Resin 3D printing is a pair of digital calipers. Now this is like a really cheap pair for like $7 I bought. This is a full plastic. I don't recommend going quite this cheap, partially because it's not quite as accurate, just being plastic. Also, this only reads down to 0.1 millimeters, and we really want something that reads down to 0.01 millimeters. And that's where I got this little Husky right here. And there's ones that are not the same Husky brand. I think I got this at like Harbor Freight. But I found pretty much the exact same thing. This one, I think I paid $25 for. It is accurate, more than accurate enough if you use them properly. And yeah, I think as weird as it is, I actually think every Resin 3D printer should actually come with a pair of digital calipers instead of some of the weird leveling techniques they come with. It probably would cost less to come with one of these than it would for all that R&D and tech. And this is really all you need to get beautiful prints, leveling and everything from your Resin 3D printer. So the very last thing on this list is a pair of digital calipers. And if you by somehow found this video entertaining enough to make it this far in it, I hope that I earned your like and subscribe. Or if you could also maybe reach out to me on the Lychee Slicer Discord, I would love to hear from you. And as always, thank you for watching and have a good day.